like one of the greatest female singers was like singing to me.
Yeah, that she is out there.
It sounded like it.
Good afternoon, everybody, and it is time for three guys who love sports. I've gone dead again.
There we go.
There you go.
Yep. Time for three guys who love sports. My name's Chuck Burge with my co-host, Mr. Robert Kennedy. Robert, how are you?
Living the dream, sir.
That's awesome to hear. And, this show is to support people that are going through mental and physical issues, guys. And if we can help take their mind off what they're going through for an hour a week, and you help somebody and they help somebody, and I'm going dead all the time here. Do I need to get another mic? Because my mic is cutting in and out constantly. So we'll work on that. But Robert, how was your trip, buddy?
It was good. It was good. I learned a couple terms called May Gray and June Gloom. And don't ever go to L.A. or Southern California during June Gloom, or you'll be way cooler than you thought you would be.
Oh, that's all right. I'm dead again.
He's all
Just
dead.
keep going.
All right. So this is it's kind of hard to talk when I can't hear myself speaking.
I don't think it's there. I don't think it's in that spot.
I don't think it's here. Oh, now
Yeah.
I can hear. Okay. So we're here at Miller's as we are every Wednesday, and
I'd like to see that part of the video where Sean thinks his bright shiny head is in the middle.
is
of
on the
camera.
screen. Yeah. All right. So Robert, welcome back from California. What are you getting to eat?
I'm eating a burger. I've been eating Mexican food nonstop. Making my way across Southern California, and Lord, it was fun. It was fun.
Looked like he got some sun. It might not have been cool. I mean, hot, but looked like he got some sun.
Well, I did go into the desert for 2 days, so I left Santa Monica. The high was 68 degrees on Saturday, and I drove 2 hours east, and it was 112 in Palm Springs.
Wow.
And then I went into Joshua Tree, and because Joshua Tree's like this, it was only like 100 in Joshua Tree. So
Yeah.
it was pretty
No
cool there.
humidity
Nice and
though.
cool.
Yeah.
No humidity.
Were you-
Lots of bees.
Were you on the dark desert highway?
I had some warm wind in my hair.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Did you stay in a hotel while you were there?
Yes.
Was it a California hotel?
It was a hotel in California.
Did they let you leave?
Obviously, he's back.
Actually, I got chased out of one. Just for the record, I don't use my ID very much. I don't drink very much. And for 3 days before I went on this trip, I had to do something online, and I pulled my ID out. So I traveled 3,000 miles away without an ID. So a lot of the things, I had somebody go, "Did you go to Tijuana?" No, you don't cross international borders
Not
without an
without an
ID.
ID.
It was hard enough just coming back. I sat in the quarantine section of San Diego's airport for a little over an hour on Monday morning with people just going, yeah, I'm sure they'll get with you soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hope so.
It
Yeah.
hasn't happened.
So I'm going with Mimi's Fiesta Bowl, Sans tomato and Sans shrimp today. So
Is
a
that
little-
like
a
3
little
straight
change
months?
up.
I mean, it's
It's
over.
close.
It's probably
It's close.
at least 12 times in a row.
At least, I would think so. But
Yeah.
you got to stick with what you love. Liechtenstein, Larry, what did you go with?
I'm going with the Reuben sandwich
The
again.
Reuben sandwich. Back
That's
on
good.
that.
That's good. You were doing the fried calamari a lot there for a while, so I'm glad to see that you're just venturing out all over. the
And
menu.
we're certainly appreciative for all the items on the menu here at Miller's Ale House. And if you haven't tried Miller's, you need to be out here and seeing Bill Cuthbert and the rest of the staff here at Miller's.
Looking very official in his chef suit. there.
Chef suit. And speaking of official, we want to welcome back our good friend Nathan Bates. How about a big round of applause for Nathan Bates? Listen to that.
How are you, sir?
Good, doing fantastic. Glad to be back.
Those of you who don't know, Nathan spent some time in the California Angels organization, and we're not happy that he's no longer pitching baseball, but
I
we're
am.
very happy to have him with us.
He's okay with it.
I'm doing just fine.
Yeah,
I am happy to be here at home in the air conditioning rather than the 112-degree heat you're talking about out in
yeah.
Arizona,
Out in San
California,
Diego.
because it gets hot out there.
Well,
But
Palm
yes,
Springs
sir.
is not Palm Desert. I played golf out there a couple of times.
Yeah,
There's great golf.
it's pretty. I mean, you drive into the desert, and then all of a sudden, all the windmills pop up, and then everything's green for just a real little short.
Short time,
short,
yeah.
yep.
Did you go down like as far as Torrey Pines and all that stuff?
Yeah, I went through La Jolla, and La Jolla is a beautiful place with all the seals. You know, no matter man always screws stuff up, and animals have to adapt and stuff. And the seals and sea lions do not care what man has done there. They're like, this is where we're hanging out. Well, you guys do whatever.
Right.
But you show up there and.
Well, maybe we'll learn more
He's
about
a little
Robert's trip
stinky.
a little later on, but I guess we should get into some sports. Here we are, almost the middle of June, and the Braves have already lost more games this June than they did the whole month of June last year. They were something in 5 last year. Probably
3 and 6
their
to
best
start
month
this
of the year,
year.
and they're 3 and 6 so far in June this year. So, you know, we talked about a little bit before the show about maybe making some bold impressions. If the Braves continue to trend the way they are, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
You know, it's hard to argue with you. The bats, you would think, have to come around at some point. You know, Riley is not that horrible of a hitter. Now, Acuna wasn't doing good before he went out, and there is a, you know, elbow connected to the shin, you know, on all the way down. Elbow's not actually connected to the shin. I do know that part. But
He was at the Hotel California.
I was hanging out on Venice too long. But no, you know, it's I think our bats will come around, but I thought we were light on starting pitching to start the season, losing Strider right off the bat. Thank goodness Chris Sale has way overexceeded my expectations, but at the same time, we need some help.
And Max Fried took it on the chin a little bit. Of course, he didn't pitch that badly. He gave up the 1 3-run homer, and that was about it. But we only garnered 5 hits, I think, for the game, the Braves.
Yeah, we're not doing good, and it's hard if you're pitching somebody like a Fried, and Nathan, I know, can speak to this. You know, if you make one mistake, you might cost the team a game. You go back to certain teams and people in their grooves. You know, they're not worried about that because they know the offense is behind them.
Everything. I mean, offense and defense are separate, but the momentum of the game and like you said, if you're, I mean. At the same time, the Braves have been so good for the last 3 or 4 years. Their offense has been incredible. That even though Acuna and Olsen and a couple guys aren't living up to what they've been doing the last year, 2, 3 years, like you said, the offense starts to slide a little bit, and then the pitching's like, okay, the rotation's like, I gotta go into 7 innings, start really keep things tight, and then they press a little bit, try to be a little too perfect, and then like you said, 1 3-run home run, one pitch goes wrong
in the 4th inning.
That's right.
Because he's working too hard or something.
Yep.
So, and I want to get your opinion on this, Nathan. So, we get a World Championship a couple of years ago. They all get the big contracts. Do they just not care anymore?
No, I mean, I'm not saying that nobody ever gets like that.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely
But there's got to be some
Some
people
teams
like
get
that.
complacent.
Definitely some complacency, but I don't see most of the teams that end up having the chemistry and the makeup to win the World Series. Usually, there's no sense of complacency in those guys unless there's a big shift in team makeup over the course of the next year or two, because that tight knit and that usually the couple of leaders in the clubhouse, whatever it is, they kind of all the new pieces that come in behind them tend to fall in line and follow, and those guys, if you're good enough to win a World Series, most of the time those guys are the ones pushing everybody forward, not letting them get.
And you bring up a great point that I brought up a couple years ago, and I don't. What I was worried about happening, I never saw happening, but I'll ask you if you think, Freddie was the leader of the clubhouse. We got rid of him, and it's like, okay, it's all good because we got Dansby. Everybody loves Dansby.
Yeah,
but,
Dansby
you
left,
can't keep getting rid of your clubhouse leader, or
Absolutely.
sometimes maybe you do hit a wall because like you said, they're not following somebody's lead.
Right, and that is, and you bring up a perfect point because Matt Olson is one of the probably best leaders by example. I had an opportunity to work out with him a little bit in the offseason a couple of years ago. I mean, and he's just as nice of a guy as he seems like he is on TV. He just kind of puts his head down, works hard, and it obviously shows in the results. I mean, again, struggling a little bit this year, but he's a great player. And even though you replace him with a guy that's a good of a clubhouse guy as Olsen, Freeman was there for his whole career. He was through the minor leagues. He knew the coaching staff. He was kind of you almost have to have one of those liaisons in between the staff and the players.
And it always kind of appeared to me like Freeman was more of a rah-rah guy. Although if you follow Olsen by example, it's great.
Right.
But Olsen isn't leading a cheer or anything else. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and-
That's definitely a hit to the morale and the chemistry for sure.
And do we have more Hispanics on our team than the majority of teams, or no?
I don't think there's a pretty high majority over the court
What are the percentage of Hispanics that speak English fluently?
that I don't know.
Yeah.
That I don't know. There's,
You know,
And again, it gets back to the complacency. It's camaraderie in the field house or clubhouse.
well, but
I mean, and
for
something's got to be
example, though,
happening.
I can actually, I can, for the most part, funny enough as it sounds, there's not really a language barrier when it comes to team chemistry and camaraderie, because the energy, the will to win, the work ethic, the being out on the field for 3-4 hours with the same guys in the clubhouse, working out, taking batting practice, doing, bullpens, fielding practice, whatever it is, you build that relationship with guys and you can communicate with them, even though, most American guys can't speak Spanish and vice versa, but it's still, you can build that chemistry even though there's a language barrier. For
and
sure.
maybe in baseball it's a little different. If you've got a guy who doesn't speak the language in football and isn't understanding that you're a pulling guard, you must go a little faster, you must, or basketball where you're doing that, in baseball they know their job, they know, and you've got a coach in the dugout who's going, move over 2 steps, go back,
The best catcher I ever threw to didn't speak a word of English.
There you go.
I mean,
Oh, really?
I loved the way he set up, and he was just a wide target. He received the ball with a
Frame
very
the
soft
pitch,
hand.
You knew what one meant.
Exactly.
You knew
and,
what
and
two
he
meant.
knew enough. He knew enough we could communicate pitches and how I like to pitch and stuff like that. And then he immediately started to understand and pay attention to how I pitched, how I like to pitch, how I moved, what my mistakes and tendencies were. So yeah,
Catchers
that's-
are brilliant.
Oh, they are. It is the hardest position to play on the field and the most underappreciated. I
So
think.
what do you think the issues are with the Braves, other than they're just not hitting?
I mean, the injuries to the best player on both sides of the offense and defense does not help. But I think a lot of it is, they had been hot for 3 to 4 years straight, where they, like you said, last June they lost 5 games. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I just think they're on quite a bit of a heavy skid. I mean, it's still, even though it's almost to the All-Star break, it's a little bit too early to say that they're out this year. Even with the injuries, they're still got great talent, but they're just struggling. I don't know.
I know, like the Phillies, they've lost Trey Turner. Is he out for the year? I don't think he's out for
I'm
the
not
year.
I
sure.
think he's coming
didn't see
back.
it. Yeah.
Is he coming
I
back?
think
But
he's
their
coming back.
shortstop's filled in well. Rojas, is that the guy's name? Sosa, I think, is the shortstop. I can't remember. And now they've lost Real Muto for a while with a knee meniscus.
Yep.
And they just keep chugging along, and that's something that Anthopoulos has done over the years. When we've had an injury, they've replaced them. But it just doesn't seem like they're getting those guys. Maybe I know the trade deadline's 31st of July.
think so, usually
is that
is,
right?
yeah. Yep.
So hopefully they get some people in, but man, they're basically in a tailspin. I mean,
Yep.
they were 6 games out last week when we did the show. Now they're double digits. They're 10 games out. They're closer to 4th place
Yeah.
than they are to 1st place.
Yeah, and now that there's the play-in games, or the not the playing games,
wild card
Thank you,
and
the
all
wild
that, yeah.
card. There's more opportunities to make it to the playoffs. I think they'll at least make it to one of those, unless something drastic continues to happen. But it'll be they have a harder road in for sure.
And I don't know which one it'll be, but one of them's going to get on a heater, and whether it's Albies or Riley or Olsen,
Yeah.
he's going to
I
carry us
think
for a
Riley's
week and a
gonna
half
pick it
to
up.
it. Yeah,
Riley can swing it,
somebody's
man.
getting ready to. Somebody's
He
getting
can
ready to.
swing it. Yep. I'm about to say Olsen's due. All those guys.
They're all due.
Right now they're all
so
due,
good, yeah.
but one of them should be due. Yeah.
Nice.
I hate it when the dad joke hits the point.
I know,
perfect.
right? When it, yeah,
They're all
yep,
doo-doo.
Yep.
All right. So good luck to the Braves as they go to now. Schellenbach is pitching today, but the guy pitching for the Orioles also has a 10.23 ERA, so it might be a little bit of a hitter's fist.
How many innings pitched does he have? That's
Yeah.
the first thing I
Yeah,
look
five.
at. That's
Yeah.
the first thing I look at.
5 or 6 innings.
Okay.
Qual-
Yeah,
All
right.
yeah.
You never
I
know.
think he
The
pitched
qual-
5
the
innings,
qualifying
gave up
start,
6 runs.
right, yeah.
Like, what's the best batting average in
Well,
baseball
so
history? 1,000.
Yeah,
That's
so that should makes it about fair because this is Schellenbach's 3rd start, right? And that's
Yeah.
this guy's 2nd. So it
He
should be
learns.
interesting. Moving on to the hoops, we've got Boston with a 2-0 lead over Mavericks, and they play tonight, don't they? 8:30
Yes,
tonight.
8:30.
I think
Yep.
Dallas is 3.5-point favorites, but man,
The first two were in
they were
Boston.
in
That's right,
Boston.
in the garden,
Yeah.
in the guide.
The only thing I can tell you on basketball or hockey, really, for that matter, for the same thing, I don't know how many times I've seen a team just get pummeled in the first 2 games, and you go, "Well, that
they
series is
reset.
over," and then they go to a different city, and
Yep,
it's like, did they
especially going
change
home.
players?
So the Minnesota-Denver game series was kind of like that.
Yeah.
Only they flip flopped
Yeah,
it,
they
where
flip-flopped
Minnesota
at the
won
end,
in
yeah.
Minnesota won in Denver or in Dallas, and then or Denver,
Denver,
and then,
yeah.
and then
Denver won in Minnesota.
So, yeah, I
yeah.
wouldn't- but yeah, I think
Especially with
I think it'll
Doncic
be a little longer.
and
of a
Kyrie.
series.
Those
Kyrie's
guys
got to
are-
show up.
He's got to do something. And what amazes me is this time next week, we'll be through with basketball, we'll be through with hockey, and we can focus on the important sport like football.
If the NBA goes to 7 games, we won't be done.
Yeah, if it does, it won't. I think this one's
There's
over
a
4 or
quick
5
little
games.
trivia fact. The only 2 days of the year that there's no professional sports games for the baseball, basketball, football, and hockey.
Ooh, pick me, Mr. Carter.
Go ahead there, Horseshat.
That would be, and it doesn't always
not the
fill
same
in
day.
anymore, but it's the day
Oh, that's right,
before
right.
and the day after the All-Star game.
The baseball All-Star game. That's right.
Those are the
Wow.
only 2 games that
Only
you
2,
don't
but
have.
there's never,
Correct.
like you said, it's a little bit different now, but yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, well, let's go ahead and get our first commercial out of the way.
And
If Robert can.
Yeah, let me just throw in there because you did throw something about hockey, and who knows? I don't
Oh,
know
yeah,
much
2-0.
about it. But the NHL gave 2 days for travel. And so all of the
I saw
reporters
this.
and the Edmonton Oilers traveled yesterday. Well, right now the panthers are still trapped in South Florida because there's this huge storm. So all of a sudden, that game tomorrow night at 8:00, which is early in Edmonton time,
It's a forfeit.
Well, it's
Well,
not,
we
it's
talked
not
about
looking good.
we
It's not
talked
looking
about
good
this
for them.
last week. That's the longest distance ever to have to travel for a series. 2,800 miles. That's a long, long way to go to play.
Guess who plays hockey in Florida, right?
Huh?
Guess who plays hockey in Florida, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. All right, let's move on. I'm sorry about that because Jim Duty, who was on last week, big Florida Panthers fan, and I saw him today. He's very excited that the Panthers are up 2-0.
So you've now mentioned in the first 16 minutes of the show doo-doo and duty.
We'll mention Duty again, I'm sure. He wants back on this show.
There are a lot of places to get your oil changed in the Kennesaw area, but if you're looking for a personal experience, then stop in at Castrol Kennesaw Express Lube or Lost Mountain Express Lube. We'll always do our best to get you in and out quickly, safely, and without a whole lot of fuss. We're a true owner-operated business where you'll find Brian under a car or a hood at one of the shops. We offer experienced, knowledgeable technicians and the latest computer software to help you maintain your new car warranty and keep your pride and joy running for the next 100,000 miles. We proudly offer
Castrol products. And after being off for a week, you handled that so well. It got butchered last week. That's all I can say.
Let me just
butchered.
say, Brian, I'm friends with him on Facebook now, and the
That dude posts some crazy memes.
everything he does is like a weird food, like some weird stuff. I asked him if he had his taste buds removed as a child or something. I'm like, I don't even know how you could even.
Is it as bad as Chuck's?
Worse. Tell him, Robert.
No. He's like got somebody who he's hooked up to a website that says, how about a peanut butter and jelly hot dog where inside it's just and everything makes that face where you're like, well, why would somebody even create something like that? Why don't we talk about this?
Jim Duty's watching. He said, appreciate the shout out, Chuck.
Hey, there you go.
Hey, how you doing, Jim? Good to see you at lunch. So we're moving on to number 36 in the Greatest Athletes. And this should take about the time it takes to read one of Robert's commercials because there's not much there at number 36.
There
I'm going to
isn't.
win.
I was so bored with looking up the regular numbers, I almost started looking up
Race car drivers?
auto racers just to see which direction. So I tell you what, how about we do something different? Go ahead and let him have number 1. Since
He said, well, before you got here, he said, I can't find a 36.
No, I found a
finally found it.
37. I found a 37.
36.
We-
We're 36? Okay, you got to give me a second.
No, you're no.
You got to give me a second. I don't have a 36.
Kick to the curb.
That proves one thing. Adam does not read the agenda.
No, I
When it's
don't.
emailed
Never
to him.
have, never will.
Stand by that. I love it.
Robin Roberts was a great pitcher.
Yes, he was. And she's a good announcer on ESPN.
Bing, bang, boom.
You want to say something?
Although I tell you, I would take the announcer over the
athlete?
player if it was like Indian leg wrestling or something like that. Because Robin Roberts, she's a big girl.
Strong girl.
Yeah.
Big, strong girl.
I also, Shaquille O'Neal was number 36 for the Celtics.
Only
when he
in
played
his
for the
final
Celtics.
season,
I
his
know,
final
hey,
season. And,
hey,
hey.
he's on the board. He's not. I mean, it's not his.
He's been on several
primary.
boards already.
That's fair.
Correct.
That's
He
fair.
has. He has
Yeah,
with a
that's
lot of numbers.
Yeah.
Gaylord Perry, you had on the list. I tried to look up to see how many times he had been ejected from a game because I figured it was only 2.
You're
Really?
kidding.
I was
That shocks me.
blown
I got
away.
that beat.
But there we go. That's my man. But could you imagine under the current scrutiny where every pitcher has to walk over to an umpire on the, every inning of every game, that's how it is now. Gaylord couldn't have done that. He had, one of my favorite characters in any movie was based on him, the old guy from Major League. What are you going to do? Well, I got a little Bengay down
That's
here.
right. Yeah,
I got a little Vaseline over
that's
here.
right.
Sometimes
Pull a sander out of the back pocket.
Yeah.
No, that was Airplane or something when he was on. No, Naked Gun. Naked Gun when he was
But
on.
yeah, I mean, Gaylord was the one.
The master of the spitball.
He was a big guy too. If I was starting something as a pitcher and I was the hitter that was going up, he was about 6'4", 6'5", I think. But I mean, if I was somebody hitting off him and I got hit, or I don't know if I would charge him out against him. He was a bigger guy. That's like Bob Gibson. He
was a big
scary.
dude.
I'm not sure if
I was
I'd be
reading
going against it.
some of his stuff to see what his greatest shining moment was, and he was 2 years in the league, and there was a game. It was in the 16th inning, and they needed somebody to possibly go more than an inning, so they brought him out, and they said, basically with his possible career hinging on it because he hadn't done so well in his first couple years, he pitched 10 shutout innings, and the team won in the 26th inning, and he said that kind of catapulted his whole career in the one direction.
Wild.
That's pretty wild.
That pitching coach would get shot if he did that today to anybody.
10
Let anybody-
innings?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
well,
yeah.
After a short turnaround with a starter or something like that.
And
yeah.
even though we haven't mentioned our unanimous winner, besides Grinny Boy,
I've
over
got
there
my
who's
answer.
Found somebody. I'd like to give some
Grinny
props.
Boy?
Grinny Boy. He's over there grinning away at this point. Don Newcomb.
Remember Don Newcomb?
Don Newcomb. He played a couple of years in the Negro Leagues.
Yep.
Went to Europe, fought in a war, and when he came back, he went to Nashua, the Nashua Dodgers.
New Hampshire.
Correct, and it was the first time an American team of any sport had been integrated. Him and Roy Campanella, and they were going to send him to Illinois, and so Branch Rickey, who was pretty good at finding people and deciding he should play, called the people in Illinois, and they were like, they won't be welcome here. Don't send those two here. We really don't want to. So they stayed in Nashua, won a title, and just an incredible career that gets overlooked by a lot of things. But Don Newcomb,
Campanella was actually his catcher.
absolutely in the minor leagues, and
Yeah.
then at the next level. So
Yeah.
pretty impressive stuff.
That is impressive. But I'm assuming that we're all leaning one way.
Yeah, that's pretty
And the wheels on the bus.
The wheels on the bus after the wheels on the race car tells us what he's got.
Okay. So I had to do some digging, but I've got a pretty good answer this week. Louis Meyer,
Oh, yeah.
three-time Indy 500 champion, which is big. At the time, he had won the most Indy 500s of anybody.
When was his last one?
1936.
I knew it was a
Oh,
long
there
time
you
ago
go.
when you
Yeah.
said 3 was the most.
Three U.S. championships, and he invented the tradition of drinking milk at Indy.
Now there's something we're talking about.
There's a good one.
Should
There's
have
a
led
good
with that.
But you know what amazes me is Adam's always on top of this and loves this, and he sounds like I've known this my whole life, and he just looked it up 10 seconds
Number
ago.
37. Oh wait.
I didn't
36.
I didn't know he was 36, but I did know the rest of it.
Okay, you knew who he was.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, which are a step ahead of us.
Yes, I know who Louis Meyer.
All right, cool. So yeah, we got to talk a little bit about the bus because, for my money, one of the best running backs ever. Not a Brown.
Is he a running back?
Well,
Running back? Is he classified as a running back?
Jerome Bettis.
Yeah, I mean,
fullback.
Fullback. Yeah, but he's running back.
Yeah, right,
You know,
right. I didn't know. Yeah.
He's fifth in all time in rushing yards, which I was kind of surprised. I knew he had a lot, but
Yeah.
fifth is
I knew he had a lot of
Pretty
punches in from inside 5 yards, but the rushing yards total, that is impressive.
91 career touchdowns. That 100 barrier. A lot of people haven't hit that 100 barrier, but that's pretty darn close too.
Didn't he die a couple years ago?
No,
it was.
he's just
who
he's
was
still
it?
doing commercials.
Who was it? It was Franco. Who died? A couple
Franco
years ago?
Harris
Franco
just
Harris.
died.
That's what it was.
Bus is still rolling.
Oh, I like that. Are they going round and round?
That's right. He's still driving.
All right, good. I like Jerome. I like Pittsburgh back then. I've always liked Mike Tomlin. We're going to talk about him a little bit in our next segment. But I think other than our resident race car fan that the three of us probably have to go. Bettis.
Absolutely. And I pulled up all his stats, and I love the reference websites because they highlight anytime you led the league in something. Jerome led one thing ever, 375 carries in 1997. But you look at the numbers,
That's toting the
320, 375, 316, 294. 355. I mean, just getting it.
Those defenses were getting worn out.
And that bus just kept
Yeah,
coming
I was
in.
going to say, those guys.
Holy moly.
Oh, wow.
Wouldn't want to tackle the guy in the first quarter. I sure as heck wouldn't want to see him in the fourth.
Yeah. After I've tackled him 3 more
That's
quarters,
right.
I've attempted to tackle him.
Yeah.
After he's run me over another 6 times.
Yeah. So
Maybe he's tired now.
Yeah. He is. He does do some commercials. You're right. I remember those now. He doesn't do any announcing though,
Subway
does he?
guy, wasn't he?
He was a Subway guy.
Subway.
Jerome both.
Yeah, he was, but he does those. He does some for during the NFL season, like where commentators or whatever. Hey, how are we getting to the game? The wheels on the bus, and he's the bus driver or whatever. He's cool.
Yeah, I
Notre
like-
Dame guy.
That's right. I forgot he was Notre Dame fellow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we're going to give kudos to Jerome Bettis as the greatest number 36, even though he did not bring milk to the Indy 500.
No, but how about this? Just to throw one else, is that the easiest one we've had yet?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
We've.
Oh, yeah, I've done
haven't
I've
done
a
all
few of them.
36,
Yeah, I've done a
right?
few
But
of them.
32 through 35 were a nightmare. I mean, they could have been anybody. There
but
were
even
so many.
27 or 21,
Who's
there's
32? Was it Magic?
Who?
Was it Magic?
it all depends
32.
on your
Yeah, all
opinion on that
depends
one.
on your
I
perspective.
think this is the first unanimous one.
No, we had
really?
Bo Jackson was unanimous at 34.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have agreed
You said
with
Bo
that
Jackson,
as well.
didn't you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely
I don't know
said
who else
Bo.
is in the category, but that's just in
Well,
terms of-
Larry's still pulling for Herschel Walker, and it ain't never going to happen. But
not
yeah,
in the same sport as Bo. Yeah.
no, not the same guy. All right, so Bo Jackson it is, and today it's the bus.
The wheels on the bus.
Yeah, happy to have a Pittsburgh Steeler in there because Bradshaw wasn't at 12.
No.
But I imagine somewhere down the road there might be some other Steelers on this list.
Once it gets down,
Should get to the 80s.
Well, you think the 80s with Stallworth and
Lenny
Swan, and that,
Swan.
but when it starts getting into the 50s and 60s, and you're like,
Linemen.
Mike Webster.
Linebackers.
I'm just gonna throw Mike
me
Webster
too.
out there as
Great
like number
best center
61
ever.
or something.
Best center ever.
You know,
56, I think.
I was gonna say 61. I don't know, but when we get to Mike Webster, he's probably not gonna have a lot of competition.
Probably not. All right, so let's go on to the Brain Train and let's get their commercial up and running. You ready, Larry?
Hey, it's Melissa at Brain Train Centers, the fastest growing neurofeedback provider in the world, and I have some pretty important questions for you. Do you or someone you know struggle with focus and attention, sleep, memory, or other mood issues? Or maybe you just want to achieve more in high pressure situations? Well, what if I told you you can unlock your brain's full potential and change your life entirely through neurofeedback, a drug-free and natural approach to negative moods, and it's backed by more than 50 years of research, so it's not new. It is safe for both children and adults as you retrain the brain to create new pathways. Medication may help short-term, but they don't address the underlying issues. Just as push-ups help your physical strength, neurofeedback is personal training for your brain. With over 20 offices nationwide, don't hesitate to reach out to Brain Train Centers, as we will provide you with the highest level of compassionate care and help you achieve the mental clarity, performance, and calm you deserve. Your journey to a better quality of life starts with a brain map. Now you can retrain your brain and reset your life. So just call or text 470-291-2778 or visit braintraincentersinc.com.
We're back. Melissa and Meg, thank you for being sponsors of the Three Guys Who Love Sports. Here with Robert, my good friends. Welcome back from California. And Nathan Bates back with us from the California Angels organization. So we shall move on. A lot of coaching moves happened this week, and a lot of non-moves happened this week. But I want to get Nathan's opinion on what is a good coach. And let's stick with baseball right now. To you, what was a good coach like?
Well, baseball, I think, is also a little bit different with the, you got the manager, then you got the general manager, obviously like most other sports, but then you got the hitting and the pitching coach, which really take a more front seat to coaching than the offensive defensive coordinators, and I'd say basketball. I know football's a little bit different, but baseball specifically, I would think there's so much that goes into the difference of, the John Wooden quote of, or not the quote, but that he would, yell and scream all the time during practice, and then during games he would just sit and not say a word, right, silent, because all of his work was done
Correct.
in practice.
And when you did something dumb on the court, you knew he knew he was going to bring that up later.
Next day,
I don't have to yell at you.
Yeah, that's good. He's going to take that mental note. But I think, and it's hard to put into numbers or to quantify, but I would say just feel. And a great coach really has to he has to set hard boundaries and treat everybody the same, and I say that with air quotes because everybody is different, and he has to understand what makes each player tick. And so from a game perspective, it's just he's got to be able to identify, what motivates players, what turns players off, what players work well together, what situations they do well in and don't do well in. So from a baseball's perspective, I would say you've got to have, really any sport, you've got to have feel as a coach and be able to kind of, just like any player, make adjustments in the moment, expect the unexpected, and be able to, how many times in the playoffs have you seen guys, you're short on pitching, short turnaround, and the pitcher gets a lot of credit for it in those situations, which they should, but the manager's still the one that's, if it doesn't work out, he's going to be on the chopping block just as much as anybody else, because he's the one that, puts his name on those decisions. So being able to make those confident decisions on the fly is just as much of a coaching aspect as it is a player.
Who's your best coach you've ever had?
That I've ever had? That's a really good question.
Shout out to you.
I would say, he's definitely not listening. He's probably playing the game right now. He's the pitching coach for the Angels right now, Matt Wise, and hopefully he's not hearing this because I denied if he asked me. he and I have a great relationship, but he was always somebody that was very hard on me, and very critical of me, but in a constructive way. And I always knew if I asked him a question, he was going to give me the correct answer and the true answer, not just tell me what I want to hear, to maybe try to boost my confidence,
Sure.
make me feel a little bit better, which, I mean, again, each player
Each
responds
person needs
differently.
something different.
And it's a quick tangent, but my wife asked me that the other day. I was saying something, with this goal I had, and she's like, okay, what can I do to support you? If I see you slipping, what do you want me to do? And I was like, you got to yell at me and be mean to me. Right. I was like, you got to be direct with me and tell me I'm failing. And
that's what Coach Wise did.
That's right. That's what motivated me. And now he wasn't at the time when he was working with me, but now he's the pitching coach. I went to the bullpen coach for the Angels, and now he's the pitching coach for the Angels, and deserves to be there. I mean, he was great at, even things that every pitcher needs to do, whether you're a sidearm, submarine, lefty, righty, over-the-top, reliever, starter. Each one has to do similar things, and so getting each pitcher to do those things through different words, phrases, actions, drills, whatever, because each player is different, that's definitely a skill that a great coach has to have too, and he was great at that.
Was he any relation to Walt Wise?
No relation to Walt Wise.
Walt was
former pitcher, Weiss and Wise, right?
Wise, yeah, he was in the big leagues for a little bit. He pitched for the Brewers.
Yeah.
Had a little goatee. I remember.
I used to be a baseball card guy, so
Yep.
it's I know that name.
Yep, there you go. All right, so the greatest coaches that I ever, the first ones I think of are Coach Wooden, as you mentioned, and then Jim Valvano. To me, two of the greatest coaches ever. Dean Smith was a great coach. I didn't like him, but he was
Coach
a great
K's
coach.
Up there, obviously.
Yep.
Coach K.
But with your first two coaches, completely opposite coaching.
Absolutely.
And that's the whole thing. For me, a great coach is a psychologist, like you said. I know I can't yell at Adam because Adam's gonna fold. He's gonna, man.
I'm not gonna fold.
Like a
He's gonna-
cheap
What are you
suit.
talking about?
He's gonna
Like a
fold
cheap
champ.
suit.
But and this guy needs the attention, and it is different. When you watch somebody like Saban. Saban was the coolest guy on the sidelines when the game was close. Mm-hmm. If he's up by 40, he's yelling at everybody out there. But it's that outward portrayal of, hey, we're good. Coach isn't worried. Why should I be worried?
That's
So
right.
just so many people and so many different traits to be good
Saban's
at.
a great one too. Yeah, absolutely. I still believe in Valvano's things. 3 days. If you brought to tears, if you laugh, and if you think every day, that's a good day.
Man, that speech is awesome.
And that's always meant a lot to me. I love that quote from him. paraphrased anyway. That's not
Right.
his actual quote.
Well, one of my favorite pregame speeches that's ever talked about is the Valvano 1983 pregame
Game
against
speech.
Houston
George,
because everybody knew that Phi Slamma Jamma was going to run poor NC State off the court, and they had talked about possibly playing keep away and whatever. And he walks in there, and the team's thinking we're probably going to have to play some keep away, and he kicks a chair and throws a garbage can. We're going right at these people. I want you to shove it down their throat. And it's what his team needed at
Yep.
that point.
Then he said the psychologist, he knew what he needed to do in that moment.
This is what these guys need.
That's right.
Those guys might need something different, but this is what these guys need.
Bobby Knight, great coach. He knew that a chair needed to be on the court.
Absolutely.
And he got a technical foul, and he
That's
lost
right.
the game.
That's right. Hey, but that was a tactical move.
But he
coulda
lost
gone
the game.
It could have gone the other direction.
So all
Right.
that matters to me is that he lost the
Was he?
game.
Right, but-
This is actually a good question. Was he winning or losing when he threw the chair?
He was losing.
I think he was losing when he threw the chair.
And the real question might be, what was the record in the next 10 games?
That's a good question too. Yeah,
because
that's
after
funny.
he throws the chair, does the team respond
Yeah.
and require?
Do they go
we
10-0 the
we
next
don't-
10 days?
We don't need you to throw any more chairs.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
good.
Yeah, we lost 11 in a row in the minor leagues one year, and our manager came in, and we had our post-game spread on the table, and he came in and flipped the table and walked into his office.
Oh, that's
You
cool.
guys deserve
And the
nothing.
pitching coach goes, "You guys might want to hit Chick-fil-A on the way home," and that was it.
Wow. Yeah. So being tactical and tactful is speaks a lot to John Wooden.
Absolutely.
John Wooden was the
Yeah.
guy when it came to that. If you haven't read his book, and I'm blanking, I'm old, I can't remember the name of it, but I got copies for both of my sons autographed by John Wooden in 2001.
Yeah.
And I read it on the plane on the way home from Minneapolis and then gave them to my sons. But I can't remember the name of it to save my life.
Let me ask you one question. Did you win the game after he flipped the food
Yeah,
on?
we were terrified.
Boom.
We didn't know
It
because
worked.
we didn't know what was going to happen. We were like, "Damn, we had to go. We had to go get some food the next night, and we were already on a very, very tight salary. And it's like we kind of needed this free food after the game. Let's try to pick it up next time, guys."
That's funny. So speaking of Wooden, only one other coach has the opportunity to even come close to what he's done at UCLA, and that's Mr. Dan Hurley.
And I wish he would have gone to the Lakers. Why couldn't he have gone to the Lakers?
Well, it's hard to turn down what.
$78 million.
Well, yeah, he didn't turn down that much because he's already getting 36.
Correct.
So you take 78 from 36, and that's what he turned down. Really.
But we talk about it all the time. I think the dumbest person this particular year is the coach for Washington, who went to Tuscaloosa.
DeBoer.
Why you don't want that stress? So if you were in a very small town in Connecticut and everybody loves you because you bring them a title once every, what a quality life. His then go out to Los Angeles and go under the scrutiny of every great player and every great
Not only
No,
that,
thank you.
Go out there, get the bag for 2 years, get fired, and leave.
That's right.
Go
Not
back
only
to
that-
college basketball.
the taxes of California too. So I mean, yeah, he probably might have made less in California by the time they take the taxes out. But I think it's cool that he came back. I never really thought he was going to leave. I thought it was pretty classy of him to at least listen and see what the Lakers had to say. I'm sure the Lakers were disappointed, but how happy the people at UConn must have been.
elated.
Yeah, to keep him there, and I think it's pretty cool. Anybody that has a chance to follow anything Wooden did is pretty special. And I think Hurley's a great coach, and I hope they get the three-peat. I don't think they will because, of course, Purdue's probably going to win it this year.
Clearly.
No, we lost our top recruit. He
Bummer.
decommitted. But it's okay. We've still got the best player in the Big Ten.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I'm very happy that he's staying in UConn in the what conference are they? Big? No, they're not Big
Big
Ten.
East.
They're the Big East. That's right. Yeah. So people that did get the extension, we talked about him a little bit a while ago, is Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, I heard he's been in the playoffs, made a championship. Didn't make the playoffs, lost in the wild card. But the guy's been there, 19 years?
Never
Has
had a
had a losing
Long
season.
time.
And if you look at the history of the Steelers, it's Cowart, before him Chuck Noll, and now Mike Tomlin, and that's it.
It's three coaches, and there was coaches before
Coward.
Chuck Noll.
Chuck
Chuck
Noll,
Noll,
but
sorry.
Chuck Noll, I believe, was hired in '69. So in the last 55 years, you've had three
Three,
coaches.
yeah.
And then when you compare that to the Browns, I think is always the easiest comparison, where it's like,
It's almost
there's
like
no
the-
continuity, there's no anything. And
Up until a couple years ago, it was almost like the quarterback situation in Green Bay, where over the course of 50 years, you had three quarterbacks.
right,
Yeah.
correct,
Yeah.
correct.
And to that point, can you tell me the last coach that coached for the Lakers that coached over 300 games?
300 games. That's only 4 seasons. That's not a whole heck of a lot. I'd say Jackson. I have no idea.
Dale Harris in 1994, I believe. It was 94 or 99. He was the last coach. So 30 years they've gone without having a coach stay longer than 300 games.
Wow.
That's pretty incredible. And that's totally opposite of what's happening in Pittsburgh.
And
But
it's
they still won what 7 championships in that time. Like
no, they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Kobe won 5,
Kobe and Shaq won 3 together.
and then Kobe won 2 more,
And
Correct.
Jerry West put a lot of that.
and LeBron has. So they won 6 championships in that span.
Yeah, they did. But we're just talking about coaches. I mean, they got a great team, and Jerry West sadly passed away today, and we
Today,
talked a little bit
this morning.
about this. He's the only player that ever got voted the MVP in the Final Four and didn't win. And also in the NBA Finals, he got voted
NBA
the
Finals.
MVP and did not win the championship. So that speaks to a lot
That's
of
impressive. I didn't know that.
Jerry West, doesn't it? Yeah.
So I had a question, but you just kind of gave part of that answer. So I'm going to ask a different question, or I'm going to phrase it differently.
Okay.
Jerry West lost the finals in 1969, but was still the MVP of the finals. That has happened one time in football and one time in baseball.
Oh, I remember this.
You should, because I asked you on air one time.
You asked me.
I got
You
that.
asked me about football. You didn't ask me about baseball.
Correct. I've never asked the
This is
baseball
so
because I
World
knew.
Series MVP and didn't win the World Series,
Correct. Team lost the World Series, but
but player on losing
Correct.
team won MVP.
Pitcher?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
nope.
Yeah.
Super Bowl 5, Chuck Howley for the
Aha.
Dallas Cowboys.
Dang it!
which just
That's
makes
why
it
I
a-
should have known that.
That was among many reasons why you should have known that. And then the other one, Bobby Richardson in 1960. In 1960,
Shortstop for the Yankees.
correct. And if it's my favorite World Series ever, when you look at stats, went to Game 7. It's always remembered as Bill Mazeroski's shot heard around the world. It's a walk-off World Series win, and the crazy thing is that the Yankees won like 3 games, and one of them was 10-0, the other one was 12-1, and the other one was 9-0, and then the Pirates won 2-1. 3-2,
Yeah, the
4-3,
run differential
and
was heavy in the
oh,
Yankees' favor.
it was
Wow.
stupid crazy
That's
even
really
by the
funny.
end of it. But
awesome.
So a little bit off topic, but another great trivia question. And we've had George Olney on the show, and George is the only one I've ever asked this question that he got it right. In 1963, the most valuable player in the National Baseball League, the American Baseball League, National Football League, and the American Football League were all number 32. Can you name them?
Brown, Koufax,
2.
can I go back to my greatest
Yeah,
players to
right.
ever wear
32,
32? Because I know it'd be a lot easier if I did that.
I don't think either one of these next 2 guys would have been on that list, but they won the MVP.
I was going to say
Oh.
that one MVP is not always enough to get on the list, but
Yeah, Elston Howard.
Elston Howard, great catcher for the Yankees,
And
Hall of Famer.
And for the Dallas Texans, Cookie Gilchrist.
Cookie Gilchrist.
I would have never
classic
gotten that
great
one.
baseball name.
Yeah, it is. Yep. So, all right. So, we're ready to move on to our last commercial, and we're going to talk some U.S. Open golf.
Tired of going to the same old places for the same old thing? American Access has your solution. Whether you're looking for something new to do before or after the game, bachelor or bachelorette party, or somewhere new to take those out-of-town guests, American Access has 3 Atlanta locations waiting for you in Marietta, Tucker, and now in downtown at the Works. Each and every location is conveniently and not coincidentally located next to a brewery. Look us up at American Access or give us a call at 678-763-3635 to schedule your next adventure.
And we thank you, Dan Fisher, for being a sponsor of 3 Guys Who Love Sports. And speaking of sponsors, we have a new sponsor coming aboard next week.
Boom, boom, boom.
Joshua Smith, attorney at law out of Dalton, Georgia. Big KSU fan, and he wants to support our show, and he will be a sponsor as soon as you get your commercial in, Joshua. We're ready for you, buddy. So we look forward to that. Last segment of the day, we have the third major of the year coming up this weekend at Pinehurst in North Carolina, where it's supposed to be very hot. A lot of cool stories coming out of Pinehurst already. Number one is the difficulty of the course, but you can't start your golf conversation without talking about Scotty Scheffler first.
Did you see that Scotty Scheffler played with a biology teacher today in his practice round? One of the amateurs in the Scotty Scheffler. It was a practice round, but one of the amateurs in his practice round group is also a biology teacher.
A professor or a high school?
High school biology teacher.
Very cool. That's very cool. Yeah. A lot of going on. We had a discussion with Craig, a member in the audience, before the show about do you take Scotty or do you take the field? What's a coin toss for me? But
I know it's a suicidal bet. Only morons take one guy versus the field. But nobody'd be surprised on Monday if that one guy won. So
if he won,
in 2003, if you were going to take Tiger versus the field, you wouldn't be crazy. And
No,
right now, the beginning of this year, that is pretty much who we're seeing each tournament. It's like, oh wow, these
and Scotty,
Morikawa and Schauffele, and they're like, oh, there's
Yep.
Scotty at the top three.
and Scotty's won 5 tournaments before the U.S. Open. Can you tell me the last golfer to do that?
Tiger.
Got to be Tiger.
Uh-uh.
No, yeah, Jack.
Before the U.S. Open, 5 tournaments before the U.S. Open. 1980, Tom Watson.
Tom.
He was the last golfer to win 5 tournaments before the U.S. Open.
The reason why it probably wouldn't be Tiger.
Tiger is the last person to win 5 in a row.
Yes, that's correct.
But the reason why it wouldn't be Tiger is because Tiger didn't play in that many.
No.
He played in the
I
big
want to play in
ones,
that one, and
Yep.
that one, and that one, and
Win 'em all. Win 'em all.
Well, Scotty's only played in 8. I mean,
Yeah.
he's won 5
Yeah.
of 8. That's pretty
Scotty,
strong.
Scotty's like a top-
Scotty's on an
2
incredible
top
run.
threes or
I
something.
hear there's already an Uber driver in place, so we don't have to worry about any mishaps in North Carolina. And now he's never won the U.S. Open though. Out of all the things he's ever won, he finished tied for second one.
2 years ago, nobody knew who Scotty Scheffler was.
No, I
He's kind of
understand.
come on the scene the last 2 years.
He really has. He really has.
Yeah. There are other players. Xander Schauffele coming off the PGA Championship.
Rory played well the week before that.
Rory
He's not
played well. He's always played well in the U.S. Open. He said last
Morikawa's
night, he
been
said
playing
he feels like he's closer to winning another major than he's ever been before. So we'll have to wait and see. He reconciled with his wife. Maybe that'll help. I don't know what's going on.
Lean on me.
There you go. That's all right.
Yeah, there's
So-
a lot of good golf being played. Morikawa, I think, has been top 3 in the running on Sunday for the last 2 or 3
Morikawa is
tournaments.
the
He's
number
been playing
2
well,
two kind of guy in the odds right now.
Yeah, fairway to
Palma's
green.
always
He's
Palma, Fleetwood. There's a lot of good. There's a really hot field this week for sure.
what they say about this Pinehurst course is everything is like in an inverted bowl. All the greens,
geez.
like they showed one green
Correct.
the
Like an
other day.
elephant's back.
That's like it's
False
45
fronts
yards deep, but in actuality, it's 25 yards deep because the first 10 feet run off and
Correct.
the first
They
front
won't
10
stop
run
on it,
off.
yeah.
And that's why I love U.S. Open above all the other. Masters is beautiful and the PGA is great, and there's nothing like watching somebody with a 90-mile-an-hour wind in Scotland in July. But watching
love the
this,
British
where
Open.
you said, there's only a 12-foot circle that you can land the ball and not be pitching. So whenever you pick a golfer for the U.S. Open, he better be real handy around the greens because all of them are going to have to do it.
All the videos I love watching leading up to usually the U.S. Open, if not another major, is one when they drop a ball straight down on the green and it rolls 25 feet off the edge, and then at the same time on the same hole they'll go 6 feet into the rough and drop a ball and it disappears. So in case you hit one bad off the tee, you got to stick it close or else you're going to be in the same spot.
And I don't think the
love
rough is as punishing this week as it is before, but I think it's very challenging. I
was
think
tough last week.
Yeah, absolutely. At the Memorial? Oh, yeah. But at the events this week, it's more about, man, you got to run the ball up at the green because Tiger said in his press conference last night, he said, we were putting from 10 feet away. And everybody here can say, we were putting off the green.
Yeah. Right.
That we ran the ball past the hole. So he said, if they get more sunshine and wind, that these greens, they're on the border of being unfair.
It should be very interesting and hopefully a little bit exciting to see some of the creativity that some players have. I don't know if you guys saw the video of Morikawa. He hit a putt from up that hill with the shaved false front and left it just a little short, but it stayed. And then he pulled out a 5-wood and did a little putting stroke and lipped it out and just about made it. So, like I said, hopefully we see some creative shots from some really.
I
weird
completely
positions.
agree, and that's why I like the U.S. Open probably above the other tournaments,
Gotta do
just
some weird
because
stuff.
you better have a few tricks up your sleeve. This isn't DeChambeau. You can hit it 350 yards, but everything around the green is what is amplified, and you better just be tight on.
Yeah, and they said this is not necessarily a course that favors the long hitters. That it's more of the creative and being able to play around the green. Now, to his credit, DeChambeau played pretty well around the green at the last major that Xander won, the PGA.
Yeah.
But I just don't. I'm happy to see Rahm not in the tournament. I
Yeah.
know you would bring that up. I'm very happy not to see him there. And I don't think anybody from LIV has played a course at this level. Of course, most of the people in the PGA have
they've all played the same
Phil.
course.
Brooks,
but-
Yeah.
Brooks has played in a few hard, tough
Yeah,
majors
because
too.
they played in.
He's
14
won the
14
Brooks has
was-
won the U.S. Open several times.
Yeah, I don't think it was at Pinehurst though.
Well, but
Not
No,
at
was it
14.
Shinnecock Hills
But
and
most of
somewhere
these
else?
guys have played Pinehurst. Now,
Yeah.
to Chuck's point, I believe they haven't played anything similar
Like
to Pinehurst
this.
lately.
Lately,
And-
exactly.
but it really is tough. I mean, what do you want to know?
One of the golfers said he came in. I think it was Morikawa said he came and played a couple of rounds last week, and just over the few days, how much the course had changed
Really?
was unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah,
he
it's-
said, if it heats up and it's
I was-
slow,
yeah.
and these greens speed up, he said Tiger was talking about how he bends down and sees the sheen of the green, how shiny it is. He said people will be putting the ball off the green
Yeah.
from 10 feet this
Right.
week. Yeah. So, but to me, and it sounds like to your point, Robert, that makes the tournament fun.
Well, I don't. This last tournament was the highest or the lowest scoring tournament of all time for a major.
Schauffele set the record, yeah.
Well, no, I'm talking about for the whole tournament, though.
the field, yeah.
The field was 200 strokes better than it had ever been for that tournament. This is going to bring you back down to earth where, -6 might just lock it up for you.
They were saying last night on the Golf Channel that even par might,
love
might
that.
win
Yeah.
this
I
tournament.
like that.
He said maybe 1 or 2 under. What's the guy's name from Britain? About every sentence he starts
Right.
with I can't remember
I know
his
who you're
name,
talking about.
but he really good guy.
Might be Fleetwood.
No, it's not Tommy Fleetwood.
it's
It's
not?
actually an announcer on the Golf Channel.
Oh, I see what you're
You
saying.
know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, he sits down at the far end. Yeah, but great anticipation about this weekend.
I'm excited.
So who can win it? I mean, Scheffler, I guess, is the odds-on favorite to win it. Robert, have you pulled up the odds at all?
I've got got something here. Actually, this just has them ranked. Let me pull up the odds.
Yeah, I think you said Morikawa was number 2.
Correct,
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, Carrick Martin's number 3, right?
at least.
Yeah, Carrick's going to win the U.S. Open.
You're the third odds-on favorite to win the U.S. Open this week. And let me say this about Carrick. If you guys have not played Dogwood Golf Club, that course is in fantastic shape. Played out there Monday, and it was awesome. Greens were rolling true. Fairways were in great shape. The food was fantastic. It was a lot of fun playing at Dogwood. So Robert's pulling up the odds. And you said you thought Morikawa was number 2, right?
No, that's what he
That's
said.
what.
that's what he said.
Morikawa was second on the list
Yeah.
that I had looked at.
Okay. But Schauffele's got to be up there just
Yeah.
because of his
Schauffele's-
recent win.
I would say Schauffele's 2, or probably third if Morikawa's 2. Yeah.
And then the pairing for tomorrow. Did you hear who
I didn't see
Schauffele's
any
playing with?
pairings, something.
Schauffele, Scheffler, and McIlroy are all three playing together Thursday
that's a
and
good
Friday.
group.
So
That's a great group.
they also played together at the Masters, and it didn't help Rory any. But
I always love watching Ludwig Oberg play too.
yeah, he's got a great swing.
oh
Several
my
people
gosh,
say he's got
he's
the
funny.
sweetest swing ever.
He's not got a Matthew Wolff swing.
No.
Nobody does.
Give you the top 7, I believe. These are all the people who are 20-1 or better. It's Scheffler, Schauffele, McIlroy, Morikawa, DeChambeau, Victor Hovland, and Koepka. Those are the
Yep.
only people who are 20,
Yep.
20, and so it's the usual suspects.
I know Koepka is kind of a polarizing guy. Either you like him or you don't. But I respect the fact that he is very upfront about, I only really practice for majors. Those are the only things that matter to me. All right, man. Good for you. You
And-
go and you win them. So
Well, I
go
was
for
going
it.
to
What
say,
do you
and he
mean?
always
Right?
shows up for him.
That's
So,
right.
I tell you, Hovland, he keeps knocking on the door.
He does.
He's gonna get this, and whether it's this weekend or not, he keeps showing up.
He won the FedEx Cup last year at the end
Yeah,
of last year,
he
right?
did.
So yeah,
He
and then he
won
kind
the
of cooled off
FedEx
a little
Cup,
bit at
yeah.
the beginning of this year, but he played really well last week.
And so did Adam Hadwin. Played well last
played
week.
very well.
Yeah, he played well up at Jack's place. That was cool. The Memorial Tournament. I usually don't watch a lot other than 4 majors, but
Yeah,
I watch
that
it
was
because
a
I have
tough
such great
course
respect for
a
Jack.
non-major. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a tough course.
Anybody care to guess at Tiger's odds?
Ooh, to win the tournament?
300 to 1.
I was gonna say
No, I
150.
think higher than that. I think like 500 to 1.
No, because they're terrified. They don't want to ever give you 500
Right,
to 1.
on
Oh
Tiger.
my goodness!
That's
Yeah,
right.
it's 200 to 1. That's
200 to
that's
1.
pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
Yeah. Look at Will's got him a new helmet.
He can run and kick and throw.
We'll have to have Will on the show a little bit to talk about his helmet. But yeah, so great golf. I'm fully much because it's going to be hotter than Blue Blazers here. It's going to be 92 and 94. So my butt will be on the sofa Saturday afternoon and Sunday watching some U.S. Open golf.
I don't blame you there.
Yeah. So I guess it's time to pick our winners.
Could be. So how many are we taking?
Let's take a favorite and a what do you call them, underdog, long shot.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll take Morikawa as my favorite.
Okay.
I just like him around the green. I don't think he's there. He's nice.
Okay. What race car driver do you have winning this, Adam?
Elio Castro. No.
Castor Davis to win the
kidding.
U.S. Open.
To win the U.S. Open. No, I'm gonna take. This is tough. I'm gonna take Xander. I'm gonna take Xander to win, and my dark horse is gonna be Nick Dunlap.
That is
Nick
a dark
Dunlap.
horse.
Okay, that is a dark horse.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was waiting for him to give me like one of the top 10
He
guys.
played.
as a
He
dark horse,
played
but that's a good
very
dark
well
horse.
last week at the Memorial.
He did.
I think he finished top 15.
He was top 15.
He's
yeah.
won. He's won on the PGA Tour this year.
In L.A., right?
He won the American Express.
He's a kid from Alabama, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
200 to 1. He's in the same
as
boat.
Tiger.
Same boat as Tiger. There you go.
Same guy.
All right. How about you, Adam? Nathan?
I think my favorite's got to be Scotty. I just don't see. It's hard to pick against him the way he's
It
playing.
is.
It really is.
Yeah. So
It's
if
almost dumb to pick against him.
It's hard to say that in golf, but it really is. Yeah.
so if I pick somebody other than Scotty, can they really be a favorite, or are they
No, they
a
can be a
long
favorite.
shot?
Yeah, they can be
Okay.
a favorite.
All right. I keep picking him. I don't think I got to say Rory.
I was gonna say Rory texted me yesterday and said, "Please don't let frickin' Chuck pick me."
You know what?
I just want
You know-
to fly under the radar for
One
one
time.
tournament, and I will dominate and hold up a big trophy.
Every time it seems like I'll check in on the scores, and Roy will be doing good, and I'll turn it on the next holy bogeys. I don't know what it is, but I would love to see him win. For my long shot, geez, I don't know. Give me a couple other names, Robert.
Tony Finau,
No, not
Saeed
Finau.
Theegala,
What's Homa's odds to win?
Max Homa.
Max
I
Homa.
was
That's
going to say
gonna-
that would be my.
That's
going to
be my long shot. I love Homa.
Yes,
Homer's-
Ludwig Oberg is playing.
Homer's
He's gonna
number
be
10
mine.
in the world now, right?
Yeah,
he's in the top 10.
Well, and he's had problems. He hasn't been in the lead on Sunday a whole lot, but he's had a couple more opportunities early this year, late last year, and is doing better. Plus, he's striking the ball really well. He's a super likable guy. It's hard to root against. for
Did you
sure.
see his story on Instagram a couple of days ago?
I think he's my favorite golfer on social media.
He's awesome.
He is the best. The whole Twitter thing of people are like, "Oh, Max, rest my swing."
There was
incredible.
There was
Whole
a
thing.
two-lane Chick-fil-A, and he was in it. Did you read this? And this lady and her son were in the car in the next lane, and his son recognized Max Homa, and he's his favorite golfer. So his mom paid for Max Homa's lunch at
Pay
Chick-fil-A.
it forward, because guess what? Max Homer really needs you to buy
say,
the
exactly. So
Max
the-
should be like, no.
So the cashier at Chick-fil-A told him, and he looked over there and he wound up talking to him for a few minutes and all. But what a cool story!
That is funny.
And he said, it really humbled me that somebody would do that.
Would recognize me
Oh,
and
yeah,
buy me
recognize me and buy me
my
lunch.
$11
Yeah.
meal.
Yeah.
And Homa, for the record, is going off at 40 to 1 currently.
Yeah.
Okay,
Homa's
so
a good-
he
What's-
could qualify as
What's
a-
Oberg?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what is Ludwig? He's probably a little less than that.
I was gonna say.
25 to 1.
I would think
22
a little-
to 1.
22 to
he's
1.
the first one behind Koepka as far as the top.
I really like watching him play golf. he's a bigger guy, but he's a very compact but still smooth swing. He doesn't do anything really unconventional. Everything looks athletic, which is it's impressive.
And I'm going to take somebody that we
you
used to
haven't picked your
all know.
alongside yet.
I'm going to take Speed.
Jordan.
I like
You know,
I'd love
he's
to
a
see
guy
Jordan
who's
play well.
handy around the green, and nobody's ever talking about him anymore.
yeah,
so,
not recently,
you know,
yeah.
if he
That's
if
a
he
good
shows
dark
up,
horse.
he's probably got the gumption to wake up on Sunday morning with a positive attitude.
That would be
I
pretty
guess
cool.
Coburg's not really a dark horse, but
Well,
yeah,
they
the
are.
Spieth
Anybody
Spieth
that's
is a
not in
great
the top
choice. I like
five.
I know.
They're long
Going
shots.
back to what we said to begin with, I think anybody besides Scheffler might be
Really,
a dark
really
horse at
might
this
be,
point.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, Robert, you know you're going to get a text from me Sunday. What's it going to say?
I hate
Brooks
LIV.
Koepka.
Anybody but what?
Anybody but
Brooks
Deschambeau.
Koepka.
Anybody but LIV.
Yeah.
Anybody non-LIV will be my pick. So,
But it'll be interesting to see if I get a text from you on Friday or Saturday that says, "I'm sick. I don't want to ever watch this again." Yeah.
I turned
Don't,
on the
Have you
don't
ever
tell
get-
me
you
anything
mean you
about
say
it.
Turned on
you've
the
got
TV
one of
and
those
Rory
before?
tripled
I
again.
might have seen a couple of those before.
that's funny.
I hate Brooks Koepka.
Kepka, he, you know, like you said, Kepka's. I like Kepka a lot.
I hate Koepka.
He shows up. You know, when you see him, you know, you're definitely not getting under his skin.
When he faltered at
that's
the
true.
PGA, I was very happy. So, yeah. All right. Well, we're up against the clock, aren't we, Larry? It's 6 bells. Nathan, thanks for coming back, buddy.
Yeah, thank you
Always
very
a
much
thrill
for
to have
having
you.
us. Love to be here.
Put some insight on some baseball for us.
What is it for SNL? It's like if you host it 5 times and you're on the Hall of Fame. If I'm a guest here 2 more times, you know, I don't know.
You're there, buddy. We'll
I
get us a plaque and we'll
Yeah,
start
right
hanging it
up
up
here in
here
the
back
back,
there as
that's
our
right.
best guest. So, guys, don't forget to take care of yourselves out there. Always happy to be here at Miller's Ale House. Don't forget to come back at 7 o'clock for the Owls Who Live Sports with me and Robert and Adam, the former intern, and Larry, the engineer. Happy to have everybody. Until then, guys, know your numbers, cover your ass, get your prostate checked. We'll see you next Wednesday on 3 Guys Who Love Sports. Good job. That was fun.
Thank you.